So here's an interesting little bit of information for you. At the time of recording this video, I don't have an internet connection. So I figured while my internet is out, it would be a really good time to sit down and play Frostpunk 2, which is an interesting game because I played the first one a little bit and I wasn't very good at it, but I've put about an hour into Frostpunk 2 so far just to sort of learn how it works and learn what it's about, and I kind of really like it. It's challenging. It's possibly more challenging than I realized it would be, and I'm certain I'm gonna struggle to get through this game's story, but I figured we would jump in today, take a bit of a look at it, play through the prologue, go into one of the first story missions, and just have some fun, see if we want to do this again. This might be a one-off video, it might not be, but I figure that's what I'm gonna do with my time because I can relate to the people in Frostpunk 2, because much in the way that they don't have food or shelter or warmth or civilization, I don't have an internet connection right now. So it's a really immersive experience is basically what I'm getting at. So without any further ado, let's play Frostpunk 2. Now, if you're curious, we are playing on the officer difficulty, which is a challenging endeavor, still with margin for error, but otherwise demanding focus and planning, which is something I might struggle with. The current story is that in 1887, the world froze to death. Civilization crumbled. The failing British Empire built generators to support cities of evacuees, cities that would eventually become the last on Earth. Whether huddled by a generator or out in the open frostland, those that survived were shaped by the ordeal. 30 years later, all became very different people.
Can you hear us? Captain!
Do you hear us?
A generation ago, we fled the crumbling British Empire as the world froze around us. I held New London together. United, we survived 30 years of whiteouts. But the world around us is dead. Empty.
Ripe for taking. The city grows.
Festers.
Merely surviving is not enough. We have to expand. After all, it's us who survived the end of the world.
Yes. Now what?
We've been roaming the frozen desert for years. Many of us do not remember a world before the Great Frost. Now, another whiteout is coming, and again, we've reached the old machine. Again, we will rely on its furnace to provide heat through the storm. In the past, we always made sure there were enough supplies for the next whiteout, but our numbers have grown through the years. Providing for everyone is getting harder and harder. And so here we are. Welcome to the Prologue. Here, you will learn the basics of construction and controls. You will need it for what lies ahead when you are in a larger city. There was a couple of words I put into that sentence. It's fine. The old dreadnought remains in pieces under layers of snow, but the scattered wagons still have resources inside. First, we must break ice to reach one of the oil wagons and construct an extraction district to use it. Then we can turn on the dreadnought's furnace to heat us up. So we will restart that furnace. Welcome, I suppose, at long last, after a cutscene and some dialogue, to Frostpunk 2. I'm gonna immediately pause the game, which is something that there are some modes in this where you can play where you're not allowed to pause the game, but because I'm still learning, I'm going to pause the game, which is the complete opposite of what I usually do in things like City Skylines. And, well, no. What I should say is I try not to pause the game in anyway. If you've been around the channel for a bit, you know where I'm going with that. It really doesn't matter. So, on the left side, we have some objectives. Across the top, we have a bunch of resources and stats and things like that. So, for example, we need a source of heat. We need a source of oil. We need shelter. We need food. We need materials at some point, possibly. And basically, we can get all of those things by building districts. So what I'm going to do, for example, is this right here: frost break to an oil wagon and construct an extraction district. Basically, this right here is an oil wagon. This right here is a little bit of land that I can frost break. So if I click on this tile, I can just head out here towards the oil wagon and I can break the frost directly around it, which is what we need to do. So what I'll do is break all of these bits of frost and, well, actually, no, I'll tell you exactly what we're going to do. We're going to break down this way so I can get to both of these oil wagons right away. We'll click the tick and we can see that we are now frost breaking. So what we'll do, just to be a little bit proactive, because like I said, we have a need for things like food and supplies, is I'm going to go out and I'm going to continue to frost break elsewhere, because I mentioned at the start, I have played this prologue. I do know what we need to do and I know where we need to go. So we are going to need food at some point. That is going to be one of the objectives. We can see a source of food over here, which is fertile soil. It will give us about 18,000 units of food. I think that's just the amount of fertile soil that's actually there. So that's basically how long it's going to last. This one, much of the same thing. This one, much of the same thing. This one down here is a seal colony, which will give us food in the amount of 400,000. So if we can get down there, that is going to be much better for us. So what we'll do is gradually just frost break our way down here. We also have a source of oil down at this wagon as well, which is going to be great. But we're going to gradually come down this way, and that's going to be good for us. We're also going to want to get to some of these maintenance wagons, which will give us materials, which is something we're going to need as well. We can also come out to this guy, the construction wagon, for prefabs, which we have over here as well. And that is going to be another one of the objectives that's coming up. So we'll just go ahead and break the ice straight out to this guy immediately, because I know I'm going to need to do that. And at this point, with 3 frost breaking tasks, we can speed things up. We should see all of these big old mining vehicles heading out and doing their thing. And that now gives us access to a bunch of stuff. We can now go into the construct districts option. And what we need to do is construct an extraction district on this guy, which is going to give me access to this oil wagon. We'll go ahead and build that. And if I wanted to, I could build another one on this guy, which I suppose I'm going to do just because I can. And that'll give us 2 sources of oil, which should keep us good for a little while. We'll speed things up just to get it to go that little bit quicker. But once these are built, what I need to do is go ahead over to this big old chungus, the dreadnought wreck, and just turn the generator on, which is going to generate heat, and that's going to make our people that little bit happier. And that is, of course, the objective that we had there as well. So the furnace is on. We have enough oil to cover the current needs, but the cold will still affect our people until they have proper shelter. Housing will best protect us from the cold if built in close proximity to other housing or the furnace itself. However, we will need prefabricated parts for construction. We brought some with us, The rest we will need to extract from the wagon wreckage. So that is where this guy, this construction wagon, is going to come into play. We want to frost break out to a construction wagon already done and build an extraction district to get the prefabs, all 500 of them, from that wagon. We want to build 2 housing districts, and we also have the option of placing them next to each other or the furnace itself to reduce their demand for heat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to frost break my way out here. Now, I just want to make sure that I'm doing this properly. Have I already broken the land out this way? I'm really not too sure. It kind of looks like it kind of doesn't. So, in fact, I think I absolutely have. I think, yeah, this whole bit of land here. So I can go straight to this guy, which is going to be good. That'll be useful to have. I want to get out to the seal colony because that's also going to be great for us. So we'll break that frost. We're going to do exactly the same thing here to get these prefabs as well, so I don't need to worry about them too much later on. And that'll be good for us. And then what we'll do is come in here and just build ourselves this extraction district, which is going to give us the prefabs from that construction wagon. Now, when it comes to housing, that is this demand up here. We are currently fulfilling 10 out of 45 demand for shelter. So we want to go into here. We want to go to housing district, and we want to build it in close proximity to the furnace itself. Now it needs to be 6 tiles. So what I'll do is, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, something like that should be good. And can I get a second one in there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I could do it there, but I want to do a little bit of frost breaking first, I think. Let's do this little chunk of land right here. Just clear out all of this space. We'll do some houses sort of down and around here, which I think will be absolutely fantastic for us. So we'll speed things up. We'll get the frost breaking going. We have this done out here. So let me build an extraction district so we can get access to you. Let me not do a food district yet because that is an objective later on. And let me do a housing district 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 right there. And that'll be the 2 housing districts done. This will be the extraction thing. And what is this? As the thick black liquid oozes through the pipes, our people rejoice. The carcass of this old machine is a testament to the hardships that made us, but more importantly, it's our haven in the storm. It has allowed us to weather many whiteouts, and it will do so again. We have oil, we can turn on the furnace. That might have been a little bit of an old tooltip coming through there, but that's okay. We'll speed things up, we'll get this done. We now have we have 1 extraction thing here for the prefabs. We have this one over here coming together as well, and they will gradually top up the number of prefabs that we have. Ooh, hello. We've established some heat and shelter for our people. We must now turn our attention to the incoming whiteout. First, we must frost break to the small patches of fertile soil suitable for growing food. Then we must store it in an easily accessible depot. We have to move quickly to make sure no one starves. We'll pause the game for a second because I just want to point out, like I said, we are getting plus 40 prefabs per week, which is fantastic. Now, it wants me to build a food district on fertile soil. What I'm going to do is build it on this little seal colony down here because that's going to be really good for us. But I'm also, ooh, hold on a minute. We don't have the scraps. We don't have the prefabs. Are we getting scrap? We're getting 21 per week. Okay. That's fine. We're not building this on fertile soil, but this is going to be good for food regardless. So I'm not super worried about it. And we also have the materials now for, I guess, this guy is what we're going to build. So we'll build you right there. That'll be a little bit of food from the fertile soil, a lot of food from the seal colony. We'll speed things up again and just see how it goes. We have secured our immediate survival. Now we have to stockpile as much food as we can before the whiteout forces us to take shelter. And to do that, we need to produce more food than the current demand is, or whatever else. So the whiteout is going to be here in 64 weeks. Stockpiles will be ready in 284 weeks at the current rate. That's not necessarily good. We do have a surplus of food, which is fantastic, but we have a deficit of shelter and a deficit of materials. So what I'm thinking we'll do, 86 weeks now with this guy going, what I'm thinking we'll do is we will continue to frost break our way around here by going sort of in this direction and getting this little bit of fertile soil. And I do think getting some materials is going to be good as well. So we'll frost break sort of that way And now, can I continue to do this? I absolutely can, but that's sort of in the way. We don't need much of an excess of oil. We are going to need some shelter still. So let me, that's 3, 4, 5, 6 right there, 7, 8. So we'll get those and put a new housing district in this space. And can I do it again? I cannot because we don't have the workforce. That's okay. I'm not really, oh no, the workforce has now climbed back up quite considerably. So let's just continue to frostbreak around here. We are going to go sort of this way and try to get access to this guy right here so I can get access to more fertile soil. What exactly do we have here? Let's see. Pouring sand in his hands. We've been here so many times. The soil is depleting. A couple more and there will be no point erecting the hothouses. There will be nothing to grow food on. And the yield is so low. Either we pull emergency shifts or tighten our belts. Otherwise, there might not be enough for everyone. So basically, there might not be enough food in the stockpiles by the time the whiteout gets here. And at the current rate of things, that's true. 58 weeks until whiteout, 82 at the current rate for stockpiles. But that should be okay because we do have access to this little food district. We are frost breaking over here as well, which is now done, which will give us access to this little food district. And we can continue if we can get, there we go. A little bit more of a movement this way will let me get access to that bit of fertile land as well. So hopefully we're going to turn this around a little bit. 46 weeks at the current rate is fantastic news. 31 weeks at the current rate is even better news. And if I head in here, we can bring that even lower and get things way, way down in terms of these stockpiles. Now, I'm slightly concerned about the materials thing. I'm also concerned about the housing thing. We don't have the materials to do anything, so let's see what this is about. So we have a mysterious symbol, the Captain's Legacy. One of our frost-breaking crew uncovered the frozen remains of a man in a tattered uniform. His shoulder patch reads New London Scouts, 3rd Platoon, and he bears an obscure insignia. Some of our elders claim it belongs to a military organization, while others argue that it has religious significance. Maybe you have heard of this New London before and can settle their debate. Now, I'm pretty sure I have heard of New London before. I'm gonna be honest. I think I've heard of it, but I'm gonna say that we don't. Yeah, I'm gonna say that I don't recognize the symbol because I don't. I'm sure it might be something about Frostpunk 1 lore, but I don't recognize it. So we'll say that I just don't recognize it, which is totally okay. Now, I would like to continue to increase our workforce, which isn't really going all that well at the moment. So let's come in here and build ourselves another little housing district and see if that can help us out a little bit. We are, ooh, interesting. We're having some trouble here with heating. We have a pretty high demand and absolutely no surplus. What is this? The stores are almost full of food, but we still need some more for the whiteout. We need secure depots that can house our rations. Absolutely, we will do that. Let me pause because things are getting away from me again. Okay. So we are going to need to get our hands on another extractor down here for that oil. I think that's going to be very important. We are going to need to build food stockpile hubs, which will give us plus 15,000 stockpile capacity. Stockpile capacity for food is increased. Proximity workforce demand in neighboring food districts gets decreased. So if I build it here, it will reduce the workforce demand in there, which I think is going to be very important. If I do it here, it'll do the same thing. If I don't have the scraps to build it out there, that's fine. Regardless, that'll give me a little bit of workforce back from the fields and the farms, which is great news. So we'll see if that works out. 20 weeks until stockpiles are ready, 40 weeks until the whiteout is here, which is totally fine. And I'm hopeful that we can see the workforce maybe increase just a little bit. I'm not too sure if that's actually going to happen or not. What is this? My knees ache and my fingers are so stiff. I can't hold the needle anymore. I've lived a full life. It warms my heart to see little Betty and Jacob play in the evening fire, but maybe this is it. I've talked with the other elders. If it comes to it, we will go. I won't let my grandchildren starve. Basically, the elders are ready to sacrifice themselves should we need them to, which I'm fairly confident in saying that we really don't need them to, so they can kind of sit down. It's a little extreme, okay? It's a little bit much. Oh, now this is interesting. There are no resources left here for this extraction district, so I am going to demolish it because that seems like a pretty solid idea. We also have nothing left over here, so I'm going to demolish you as well, which will give me some prefabs back. It will also give me some scraps, which is great. So we're going to demolish you as well. And what have we got here? Against the elements. Each day, the wind grows fiercer. Relentlessly, it beats against our buildings, weakening our structures gust by gust. Without raw materials to repair the damage, our districts will deteriorate. The more we build, the more materials we will need. This is the world we know. So, let's try and get some more materials. We want to build an extraction district on a maintenance wagon and extract enough materials to satisfy the district's demand. That's going to be tricky because we just don't have the workforce to make that happen currently. It's going to be tricky. We need an extractor. We don't have the workforce. Admittedly, we could probably, I mean, what do you consume right now? How many workers? You've got 200? That's not, I could probably get rid of you and still have enough food at the end of the day to go and start getting some materials. That might very well be what we do. I need 223 more workforce though, which tells me that, well, what if I brought this down a little bit? What if we brought you down to 120? We're still at plus 182, still 5 weeks there. What if I bring you down a little bit as well to get myself some more workers? We're at 237 for the workers now. I still need 300. What about you? You can come down to here. We still have plus 146 with 317 workers. That means at least we can frost break out to this guy, which is kind of what we need to do. So we'll do exactly this. I'm hoping that the workers consumed by this is kind of a temporary thing, but we'll find out. What is this? People in the camp are getting tense. They worry we won't gather enough food in time. Our hunters propose to slaughter the remaining seals, including pups and females. This will allow us to gather much more food, but it will wipe out what could be the last colony of these creatures on Earth. However, many elders have volunteered to walk into the Frostland rather than be a burden on our resources. Their sacrifice would significantly reduce the rations we need for the whiteout. What should we do? We're gonna say, sit down. You don't need to resort to extremes. We're going to be fine. You, by the way, need to get repaired, so let's use some prefabs to do that so it doesn't break apart. And it looks like we did absolutely get those workers back. So let's build ourselves an extraction district out here and see if that's going to help us out a little bit with the materials that we happen to need. It should. What is this? Disease weakens our workforce. The harsh conditions in the camp take their toll on our people. Disease spreads. More and more of our workers are unable to work. If this continues, our workforce will be decimated, endangering our ability to sustain the camp. They should be fine. They should be fine. We're low on heats, which is worrying, but they should be fine. Hey, we did it. We secured enough food to survive the incoming whiteout. Our workers will make some last-minute preparations before the storm arrives. We should try and keep the people warm for this time. We can absolutely do that. Absolutely, we can do that. We also managed to get this built, which is great. We're still -6 on materials, which is not great, but it'll be all right, I'm sure. Can I... Oh, I don't want you breaking either. Let's get you repaired. Can I go to you and increase... So what does this do? The Wanderers will work deep into the night with little regard for their safety. They won't like it but I'm wondering if I do this, it's only still negative 51. I don't think it's going to be too big of an issue because we're only 12 weeks out from the whiteout, which I know is the end of the prologue. But I think we'll order both of these guys to work harder. We're going to order you to work harder as well. So we now have a bit of a surplus of oil, which is going to be good for us. That's definitely going to be good for us. We'll repair you again. And this is a bit of a worry. Resource deposit nearly depleted. That's not good. That's basically saying, hey, there's not that much food left here. Again, shouldn't be an issue. 7 weeks until the whiteout. Food stockpile's already full. We should be fine, I would imagine. Can I get you guys to work a little bit harder as well? There we go. We have enough materials. Let's focus on food. So the people aren't going to love the fact that I have, got them all working much harder, but we do have a surplus of everything coming in here. We have a surplus of shelter, a surplus of food. We have a surplus of materials. We have a surplus of oil. So they are warm, they are fed, they are sheltered, they can repair things, they have materials, we have prefabs, we have scraps, we have an income of scraps as well. It really is just a case now of waiting the 1 week that remains, less than 1 week, for the whiteout, which of course is here. The preparations are over, things are about to get pretty dire. The alarms are going off, but we did it. And this is, well, actually, this is terrifying. The amount of the amount of stuff getting consumed was rough, but we did it. This was the prologue to Frostpunk 2. This is what we had to do. And I think it went pretty well. Against all odds, when the whiteout hit the camp, the Wanderers were ready. Everyone was thankful. We acted fast and gathered enough food in time. The miracle of the seal colony strengthened our hope that our journey will lead to a promised land. Our elders have added this story to our great tales, alongside warnings about a sinful city that still pumps smoke into the sky. But most importantly, we survived. And so we move into chapter 1. Coal is running out. The captain is dead. As he weakened, growing divisions brought city maintenance to a grinding halt. Now, New London is left to suffer the consequences. As steward, it is your charge to lead, but you must prove yourself. The overcrowded city is low on resources. Use this warmer year to build more shelter, secure coal, and power the generator back on. Let's get to work. But here's the question. Is this something we want to do a little bit more of? I think we're going to let this video serve as a little bit of an introduction to Frostpunk 2. It's the prologue. It's a look at what we could be playing with in chapter 1. I know this game isn't necessarily for everybody, I'm going to be playing it regardless. I'm going to play through it. You know, either we'll do a series with it or I'll play it in my own time. Either one works for me. I'm going to be here regardless. So if we want to see more Frostpunk 2, let me know in the comments. Leave a like in the video. If you're new around here, do feel free to subscribe. I would appreciate any one of those three, and all three would be fantastic. But that is going to do us for today. This was Frostpunk 2. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. It has been an absolute pleasure as always. And as always, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.